Mobile, Alabama for the UCP Hog Wild Mobile Barbecue Fest. And we're Little Creek Barbecue. My name is Rich Green, my wife Kim. We're a husband and wife team. We're from Bangor, Pennsylvania. This is our third year here. We started out doing competitions. This is our seventh year.
Yeah. Is it going on eighth?
Going on eighth year. We entered our first competition not really knowing what was going on. We must have really been rudely awakened. And since then, we continue to find competitions and get better, try practicing a little more, and an opportunity for a restaurant opened up, so we have a little takeout place. But we still compete, and we keep learning every year. And looking back at what we used to do, we were probably pretty bad back then. But we've won some awards. We get to travel around the country, and we think the publicity helps, and we help promote barbecue around the country, our town.
We've taught Bangor what barbecue is.
Yeah, up by us in Pennsylvania, Bangor is mostly barbecue, is hamburger barbecue, which is not hamburger like sloppy Joe barbecues. They come in, people come in, you got hamburger barbecue, and we just kind of, there is no such thing as hamburger barbecue.
And what do you serve at the restaurant?
We do Southern style, traditional ribs, brisket, pulled pork, pulled chicken. We have a couple fancier stuff. We do a smoked corned beef brisket, like a corned beef, like our own version of a Reuben. But potato salad, simple sides, coleslaw, baked beans, the simple macaroni and cheese, and it all seems to work. People love the down-home, simple, feel-good foods, and that's what we do. We make everything fresh. We're open the summertime 6 days a week, but we have to close in the wintertime. We're open through Thursday through Sunday because just the way the weather is, and like that. We do catering. We've had a lot of fun with this. This gives us an opportunity to do a lot of traveling, to see the country. When we pick contests, generally we pick an area of the country we haven't ever been in and we'd like to see. And every year we keep adding one contest or so somewhere different. And we may not go back to a contest, after a year or two, but we get back eventually. But it's been real fun, and we love it. We couldn't ask for anything better except maybe to win a little bit more. That would help fund the whole process. But if you're talking about the prize money, if you're in this strictly for the money, you're in the wrong business. It could be an expensive hobby, and you really have to love it, because some days it's hard to get beat when you think you put out a really good product, and there's judges that say you didn't.
And there are some days when you think your product's horrible, and it turns out you just took second place.
Your ego really can take a beating, and you got to have a thick skin, because what this guy might think's the greatest in the world, this guy over here might think's the worst, and you can't take that personal. That's the hard thing, is to not take it personal and realize that it's people's, that's their own opinion, and everybody has opinions. You know how that goes.
Hello, this is Ricky Newman with Newman Barbecue, here with my team. It's my wife Cindy, it's my brother Todd, and it's my brother Bernie. We're from Lakeland, Florida, which is about 10-hour ride from here. We come up, we do about 10 or 11 events a year. We do one out of state per year. We've been doing real good here lately. We took the Governor's Cup at the Lakeland Pig Fest this past January, and been having some good showings. The Governor's Cup is the top team in the state of Florida for that one contest, which is the biggest in the state of Florida. We took third overall in that and walked on all 4 meets, so we had a good run. We've had a good run. We did backyard for about 10 years. Our dad got us into it, Steve Newman. He got us into it, and it was more about the party and more about family, and finally me and my brother Todd decided to get serious about it, and last year we won grand champion in backyard at the Winter Haven Smoke on the Water, and they gave us an option to either go pro and they would pay our entry fees or stay backyard, and they'd give us a check. So we decided to go pro, and here we are. A couple things I wanted to give a shout out to my sponsors. Tex Trailers, they're the ones that help us build this trailer here, and we built it from scratch. It was just absolute gutted out, nothing, and they gave us all the supplies to build it from the ground up. And on the door here, we got my dad. We just call him the dad. He gave us money to put the awning on, and Johnny's Place Restaurant, Casey's Glass Window Tent, and All About Signs. They're the guys that did all of our logos for us and put them on our trailer for us. And C3Y Photography, she does a lot of photography for us. And then our sponsor that we just got about 2 days ago before we came down, that we're really excited about. It's going to be huge. Ron and Nancy McKee, they own a place called Grills and More in Lakeland, Florida, and they sell the Green Mountain grills, which is what we use. And they approached us with a sponsorship. We jumped all over it. So that's the first real big sponsorship that we've gotten. And there's going to be more to come. As far as where we come from, that's it. We're here in Mobile, Alabama. And the reason we chose to come to Mobile, Alabama is because we got a ton of kinfolk that live up here, live on Dolphin Island here in Mobile, and we're going to throw it down tonight. We're going to do this Polk County style. Our motto, our logo is make the world Newman. So we're going to make the world Newman. We're going to invade Mobile tonight. As far as the equipment that we use Green Mountain grills for our ribs and for our chicken, and then we use Spice Wine for our big meats, for our brisket and our pork. Overall, just a couple things. We have some shout outs we want to give some guys from the Lakeland area that helped us get along real good. Jimmy Brode with Everglades Seasoning, Rub Bagby with Swamp Boys, and a lot of guys that just were always there for us, no matter what kind of stupid questions we had for them. That did it. Team Unknown, Chad Ward with Dave and Stephanie Kimbrough, Terry McKay, a lot of them guys, man. It's a big happy family. Normally we have 8 children, and normally we bring 4 or 5 with us, but this was a heck of a ride. So we found babysitters on this one. We're going to do that on this one. But we cook all 4 categories, and it's going to be a long ride back if we get our butts kicked. So hopefully we finish at least middle of the pack. There's tough competition out here this year. I mean, we came out here and we're like, man, we've seen this guy on TV and this guy on TV and this guy's in the national rankings and this guy's in the national rankings, and now they're doing barbecue pit masters out here, and it's an intimidating process for some dumb rednecks from Polk County, Florida, but we're going to give it everything we got.
Good to go.
Okay. We were lucky enough to be able to judge seafood tonight. We had 3 entries. The favorite of the 3 for me was the first one. It was a fish. Had a great savory sauce on top. The fish was nice and flaky. The next one was a shrimp Alfredo with some noodles in there. It was very good presentation on the second one. Third one was skewered shrimp and pepper popper with bacon wrapped around it.
Not an ABT?
Say it again?
Not an ABT?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it was. It was. But again, the favorite for me was number 1. Unfortunately, it wasn't very appealing appearance-wise. It was dark. The room was dark, but it did taste very good.
Okay.
I had the same thing that I judged. I didn't think there was a wonderful entry out of all 3. The fish, I thought could have used more flavor, and I got big pieces of cracker crumbs. It seemed to be cracker crumbs that I think should have been a little finer for the breading. It was okay. It wasn't wonderful, but it was okay. Followed by the seafood pasta with the lobster and the crawfish, and maybe some shrimp in there. I'm not sure. I think it needed more seasoning. It was a wonderful entry, but I think it could have used more seasoning. And then the shrimp on the skewer were just okay. The popper was very much overcooked. And I guess that's all I have to say about that.
Well, first off, I want to say this is a wonderful competition, and they have done an excellent job of making everyone feel very at home. They've treated us wonderfully. We're from out of town. We're actually from Delaware, and we've been greeted with open arms, and we had a fish fry last night, and it was just wonderful. As for the entries that we had today, it was seafood, and the first one was a fish with a topping on it. I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. That was probably my favorite. Second one was shrimp. Presentation was very nice. It had some white sauce Alfredo, and that was very good also. And the last one was covered with aluminum foil, and it was our mystery meat, we thought at first, but decided that it was shrimp and a popper wrapped in bacon. It was all very good. So overall, I'm glad that I was here, and it was very good seafood.
Okay.
The first entry, to me, the sauce or whatever it is they had on the fish had a bitter taste to it. And of course, then you couldn't taste the fish at all. So it wasn't my favorite. The second entry was very good, had a real mild sauce on it. Everything was cooked. The noodles, the fish were cooked so that they were very tender, and the flavors blended real well. The third entry, I wish they'd have put taste me first on the shrimp, because by the time I had a nice big bite of the popper, I really couldn't hardly taste the shrimp. So the popper was excellent, but the shrimp didn't really come through.
I thought the presentation on the second and third were excellent. The fish was very good. I haven't figured out what kind of fish it is. The shrimp was excellent, and the homemade pasta was very tasty. The presentation on the skewered shrimp I thought was excellent.
The 12th annual Barbecue Championship Hog Wild Festival Contest, Barbecue Contest Judge in Mobile, Alabama. Tell the truth, justice, excellence in barbecue, the American way of life, may be strengthened and preserved forever. All right.
Okay. Number 3 was my favorite. I liked the peppery sauce, and it had a nice kick to it.
A lot of salts on number 2 kind of hid the appearance of the chicken itself. Number 3 had a little problem with the skin, not wanting to bite through. It was a real good taste to that number 3, and also very moist.
I preferred number 3. It had just enough spices on it, not too much sauce. I really didn't have a bad one out of the whole grouping.
I'm from New York, so maybe the little spice was a little bit too much for me on some of them. Number 4, number 5 were quite good, and I thought both of those were quite tender compared to the other one.
The judges overall were very, very close. They agreed on almost all. They were a point apart or right on with every entry. There was nothing over 1 point difference in their scorecard on the different points.
Stagger the other ones on top.
Yeah.
There's another one. Could be.
I don't like that one. This one.
Say they're not gonna.
Put the big end down and the small end.
Hey, how about? Okay, we gotta have 6.
May have to stagger them.
You can double stack it with the bone on the top and
There
then
you go.
Like this?
like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
That would look good.
That looks good.
All right. Has anybody sampled them yet?
I did.
That one might be pretty.
It's pretty big.
I grabbed one out of
Okay.
this bag.
Is that going to be good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ribs on the whole were good. I'd say the third rib was my best rib. My fourth rib was a little over smoked and dry, but as a whole, I thought all of them were above average ribs.
I liked 3 and I liked 5. Number 4 almost had like a lighter fluid kind of a taste to it, and it was dry. So I didn't even want to take that one home.
I liked 1 and 3 the better. The fourth one was dry, and the fifth one was too hot for me.
I like number 3 and number 2. Both of them seemed to be cooked pretty well. Number 4 definitely was not cooked properly, and number 5 seemed to be a little bit overcooked as well.
Pulling double duty as a judge and table captain, the ribs that I liked the best were number 3 and number 5. It seems consistently that everybody liked number 3, and also consistently that number 4 had a bitter creosote taste to it. But overall, I agree with the team. The ribs were above average, and they were no bad ribs in the lot. And our scores reflected very consistently that the ribs were good, and everybody was in line with each other. So it was a very good round for table number 4.
Anybody who would like to take a look at the weapons we use, that we have some weapons at the table, which is they're showing them. Help yourself to come over, take a look, see what they feel like.
We had a nice flash example of the test point. So 1-1.
The flesh is one of the most dramatic moves in fencing. You run past the opponent like an arrow. It's the only time you're legally allowed to go off the stroke. And that was a nice one.
Only one person has played my games better than me. Hey Chris, what do you think about that dude right there in the flag?
You see that?
Stop, we're on camera. Just your voices. Just exactly.
Just your voices and your box. Oh, please. No, on the side of the box, Hannah.
I know. It's fixable.
I'm stressing. Don't fret.
Don't stress. Oh, Daddy, what is this?
That's what we're talking about, Hannah. Who's Pete anyway? Yeah, what's Pete got to do with it? Hey, Buck, you better not fall asleep. I'm gonna fall asleep. You better not fall asleep.
We ain't got no time for phones, Kendall.
What do you need phones for? Hey, if you find a $100 bill up there, hey, we're still a walk.
The first entry, number 133, and the last entry, number 161, were kind of tied. They are both very good. They have a very good texture and a very good taste. And the least was the second entry, 109. It was dry and had very little taste, and the way it was presented, it was all shredded out, so you kind of feel like that maybe they knew that it wasn't the best product they'd ever put out.
My favorite was number 2. It was tender and very tender and flavorful.
Least favorite?
Least favorite was number 4. It was chewy and not very much taste.
They talk. All right, that's good.
Got it.
Yep. Nope, I'm good.
The least favorite was number 1. It was very dry, lacked seasoning, and would have been a good product for shoe leather. The best was number 3. It was extremely moist, very well smoked, as you can tell by the coloring, which could be artificial, and it actually had some nice seasoning on it. The number 5 was the most unusual entry, but the good thing about it is it had a great flavor,
And if you put some mashed potatoes and gravy with it, I think it would have been a good piece of roast beef. But this was my highest score, and this one shouldn't have been in the competition.
Okay, I agree with what he said also. That one, number 5, really surprised me. I didn't think it would be very good, but it was taste-wise, it was my favorite. It was a little tough, though. Number 1 was way too tough, and my overall was number 3 because it was pretty good.
My favorite was number 4 because it just tasted really good to me, and my least favorite was number 1 because it was really tough.
Beat Navy. The worst one again was number 1. It was extremely dry, extremely tough, and lacking in flavor. I really liked number 3 because it was moist, but it was falling apart and too soft. So I downgraded it a little bit on that. Amazingly enough, I liked the last one the best. It was a different cut from a different part of the brisket than we've ever had before. It was moist, it was tender, and you could really taste the meat. And that's why I liked it the best.
Number 1 was real dry and not very good, no taste. Number 3 was moist, but again was falling apart. I liked the taste of number 4, but it was a little bit dry. And number 5 was a surprise. It tasted good. It was moist, but I'm like Lynn. Little mashed potatoes would be real good.
I think number 1 was my least good. It was dry. The best flavor I thought was number 4, but it was on the little dry side, so perhaps a little overcooked, but a good beefy flavor. 3 was really moist. I thought a little in flavor, but probably the moistest of the bunch. And then for me, 5 was very heavily fatty, so that tended to kind of hide the taste, but maybe just the way it was cut. Try it again, cut the other way.
That's just part of it. I didn't either. I thought it was 2 different ends. And I was looking for 6 mechanics. Robbie called me. Yeah, I said,
Can I?
oh, what's short block? I was the same thing I got.
For you, me.
I had no clue.
I'm gonna